while ago, I said something on stream. Aiden's just so jealous he's steaming. Okay, I'm glad I didn't skip this.
This is ridiculous, dude.
Your ass.
It's hard shift, man. Come on.
They had to pull him out.
There's nothing in them.
This is the moment they had to get rid of lyrics. That's speculation, people, okay? I think it's a fair speculation to make based off of almost absolutely nothing. But there's no standards in new commentary, so who the fuck cares? I'm guessing this hyperbolic over-the-top statement from me on that stream was noteworthy enough for Queeman to interrogate me over.
How am I pushing for commentary to have no standards?
Is that a direct quote from my
Yes.
video?
Yes, you said you're trying to destroy commentary and make it have no standards. You said it like 10 minutes ago on your stream.
Which wasn't directed at Queeman exclusively. So I guess he's self-IDing as new commentary here. So I thought I would make a video to lay out the standards of what I call older commentary in this video and compare it to what some of these newcomers coming from the Twitch poll community seems to think they are, or more likely what they want them to be. Let's start off with the FlamencoTV meme statement. Accusations are not evidence. There's plenty of examples of videos on him. I'll be linking several of them in the comment section along with anything I use as B-roll. And if you want to learn more about any of the particular things, this one is from the Unseens video on him.
Now, allegations have been a central part of commentary for as long as it's been around. There have been many situations that have spawned purely from the spoken word or accusation from someone close to a situation. Sometimes these kind of claims turn out to be very real, such as in the case of Lionmaker, but on the other hand, many times allegations are disproven beyond a reasonable doubt, such as in the case of Slazo. But regardless if an allegation is stated or restated, it is important to verify if there is any evidence backing up the claim. My point in bringing this up is to highlight the importance of not blindly accusing people of things that you cannot verify. On March 27th, 2022, Flamenco entered a debate with another YouTuber, Aiden Projects, on the show Commentary Bloodsports concerning a tweet that Flamenco had made restating the accusation of a Twitter user that the disgraced Twitch streamer Nicholes committed the crime of embezzlement. Now, I would like to make it very clear right now that I am not a fan of Nicholes, and not many people criticizing Flamenco for this tweet are either, but this tweet is fucking awful. Right off the bat, Flamenco took the word of a random Twitter user as fact. And his justification? Not that there was anything to back up that statement. No, Flamenco's justification for stating that allegation as fact was that the allegation itself is evidence.
So let's compare that sort of precedence to something like Queeman thinking that this single screenshot is evidence. Sorry, Queeman, that is a claim that could be serious, but given the context, it comes off more as a joke. Maybe that's why Queeman sent it to me. Such a wild and wacky guy. And yeah, well, it is a joke, at least evidence-wise. Seriously, something I would laugh at if it was the only thing provided by someone to prove that anyone, even Doomer Media, scam someone else. Talking about that, let's talk about the person who FlamencoTV was trying to use this non-evidence against. Nicholes.
One of the biggest community-wide investigations finished up, resulting in Nicholes fully being exposed for misappropriating over $100,000 in donated GoFundMe money.
If anyone ever finds out about how I spent the GoFundMe, I am definitely getting canceled.
Spending it on doxing multiple innocent people. But it's Nicholes, so she can't own up to anything, take accountability for anything. No, she has to frame an artist as transphobic, making the artist go private. I haven't heard from them since. This video isn't just about Nicholes' career ending, it's about her trying to bring everything down with.
So Nicholes got caught admitting to it. We don't have that with Doomer Media. Still, this is really proof of Nicholes doing this. And I have to wonder if some people are using this to retroactively rethink Flamenco's TV's accusations are evidence meme and thinking we should take it more literally or lose the joke with it and make all evidence into a joke. But that's just crazy thought. More importantly, the next former commentary lolcow, who knows if that status will change or not, or if the meaning of lolcow is changing with lolcow live, but in any case, commentary lolcow who ran away and like many others seem to have died on Lolly Hill. But none of these were the only factor that led to that downfall, as well as many others, because Tipster's fall from grace mainly came from him constantly defending Keffels.
Dying on the hill to defend Keffel's trolling, but will nail Boblax to the cross for doing the same. He's the guy who's crying about Boblax bringing up DMs from the previous month, yet sits idly by whilst Keffels calls Boblax a transphobe for something he said 4 years ago. I mean, the bias is shining through like the beams from heaven after racism gets installed on Discord. Boblax and Keffels later have a debate, but I do not want to give anyone the torture of listening to Keffels talk with the speed she's talking at. So yeah. But isn't it crazy that this is just like the stuff with Tommy C repeating again? Someone who Tipster previously disliked treated him nicely, and he completely burned the bridge with his former friends, taking the opportunity that came to stick the knife in Boblax. Following this debate of sorts, AugierFC would do a stream reacting to the situation, eventually debating Keffels and later Tipster, and it's just L after L.
Some people might be asking, what's with these double standards? Flamenco gets scolded for going after Keffels, Tipster gets scolded for defending Keffels. At least that's the way it will seem to some people. But some people aren't exactly concerned with the context around any of these examples. Plus, it can be hard to keep and track and follow all this crap. Now, I believe this can be best highlighted by Technicals, the commentary double standard, which I would go over here, but again, someone much better than me has already covered it, so I think I'll be pulling from that, which definitely seems like it counters the double standard claim from Technicals' video.
Moving on to the main point of the video, Technicals criticizes Nick, Augie, Tipster, and Tommy C for what he sees as special treatment given to Zaptai as opposed to their coverage of the YouTubers Kiwis and Minilad. Firstly, for Nicholes DeOrio, Technicals brings up 2 examples. The first one is a clip of Nick saying that the 19-year-old Kiwis sending a picture of his dick to a 16-year-old was bad because it's illegal, juxtaposed with a clip of Nick talking about the legality of the Zaptai situation in a more favorable light. Now, even ignoring how a huge part of Nick's video on Kiwis was about Kiwis' constant victim blaming, blaming his depression, obfuscating the truth, and constantly trying to justify his relationship with the girl, Nick already clarified his opinion of the age gap in the Zaptai situation 1 year before this video in his Zaptai interview, where he calls it a point to criticize him on.
Oh look, there's a comment from Willy Max Joe below the one I left on that same video 2 years ago. And since I don't want to get too off track from the premise of this video, I found an interview with Willy Mac going over his thoughts on the standards a commentary channel should idealistically have, in his opinion.
That view YouTube is like a business opportunity and they're into it because they do like money.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just you gotta, like, for instance, if you're in like if you're in the Fortnite space and you're in it for money, like I don't think that's an issue. If you're in commentary and you're in it for money, I don't think that's an issue, as long as you have some sort of line or like ethics code, because in commentary you're talking about like you're dealing with people's lives, right? So if some allegation comes out and it's not properly vetted and you're just automatically jumping on the allegations and jumping straight towards like, you know, this guy's a pedophile or this guy's guilty or whatever. This is not relating to anything at the moment. This is just general shit that has popped up and has been wrong, whether it's like the Slazo case or, you know, Quite was another one of those stories, right?
Now let's compare that to what Queeman thinks about what is a commentary standard.
Compromised if you're dating one of the key victims.
Well, isn't, and I mean, from the other side, and I look, from the other
But
side.
I don't think, but that's like this is like a very almost like commentary standard, if you know what I mean. Like I don't think
Sure.
a lot of time, like, you know, how many people that Destiny fights with or talks about does he have intricate personal relationships
But
with?
don't we criticize that? Aren't we like pretty critical of that? Like anyway, and this is part of the problem. It's like at the same time.
I'm not. Wait. I'm not necessarily critical of there being personal relationships. No.
Well, no, hold on. It's more the fact to do with like when people have come into the Destiny argument, people are like, well, maybe you're compromised because of your
So
relationship with
I
Destiny.
suppose
with
the
commenting
point
on
I
this.
was trying to get at, sorry, the point I was trying to get at, which finish there, you understand what I'm saying, is that people, Destiny has all these intricate relationships, and the audiences do not give a fuck. Like, they don't care how compromised Destiny could be talking about someone. They'll listen, they'll watch, they don't care. It's a very sort of like commentary creator standard of like, oh, you seem compromised, you've got a conflict of interest. Like, it's not something that masses tend to care about. So I don't know how much of a problem it actually poses for JSTLK, if you know what I mean.
I'm not sure about this compromise standard that Queeman is trying to place on commentary creators, maybe commentary channels like him, but they're a rather new breed. I mean, frankly, it works better in an example when clear ties can be established, like what was done with the whole technicals versus commentary, supposedly civil war. And even then, it really wasn't the main point of criticism that the commentary community at the time really used against technicals and, more importantly, his video on Zero. But John Swan was in there and he's bad. Never mind, let me play this shit.
Connor, who you might remember from earlier in the video, posted a Twitter thread detailing the allegations against Pixel, but also attempting to connect the story to the topic of Zero and technicals. So I just got sent this crazy Reddit article by some random that has interesting information that leads me to believe why Tech is dying so hard on the argument he is with Zero. So basically, Tech's brother got busted in a group chat Tech owned where Tech's brother would post nude images of himself and lolly he'd allegedly drawn as well. He claims he was the only adult in the chat at the time, with the ages of the people in the chat ranging between 13 and 19, Tech's brother being the oldest at 19 years old. In response, Tech's brother admitted to it, saying he was immature at the time and has grown/knows better. Because of this, I believe it's fair to say in order for Tech to throw Zero under the bus, he would also have to throw his own brother under. This line of reasoning was then repeated by Augie, as well as other members of the commentary community. Now, some people, including technicals, complained about the commentators bringing family into it, and in most situations I would agree. However, in this situation specifically, Tech's brother is a public figure, having even more subscribers than Augie and technicals combined. My problem with his brother being brought up is that I don't think it connects to the Zero situation at all. The argument that for Tech to throw Zero under the bus, he would also have to throw his own brother under doesn't make any damn sense, considering how different the things Zero admitted to are from the things that Pixel admitted to.
As you can see, it's believed that this is just a theory trying to understand why Technicals was fighting so much with the commentary community over Zero in the video that he did covering that case. The criticism existed before any of this stuff was even discovered about Technicals. But that's the closest example I can find to lead anyone to believe that this is a standard held in what was at least formerly known as the commentary community. But if I'm wrong, give me a comment down below with the best example and I'll address it in the follow-up to this.
Well, yeah, but we're also talking about general consistency because, like, let's just take Tom.
Oh, yeah, sure. If you're making like a consistency argument where it's like, but it seemed like what you were saying to there was that's gonna be a problem.
Well, I think it's a problem for JSTLK's consistency, and I think it's also a problem for like this ongoing coverage of it. Because again, like going way back to the Tom drama, the reason I got so fucked off at Tom was he presented himself and Mantis as a fairly neutral pairing. And then turns out to be fucking e-dating her.
Sounds like Beckett has a better understanding of the commentary community, at least as I understand it, than Queeman here. And I'm not trying to say Beckett here is perfect, but I'll be getting into that later. And he brings up a point that Queeman feels the need to comment on.
Like, that's one of the
I
things
mean,
that
I've
really
always
fucked me
said
up.
I think you were over the top on.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that,
you can. That's fine.
Queeman's going into the interpersonal aspect of that situation might not seem like a queer thing to get into, but I wonder what prompted Queeman to make this pivot. I personally think it's related to something Queeman says a few minutes later.
To whether JSTLK's gonna, like, people are gonna try and drag you and JSTLK into drama over it, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I just don't know how I can be dragged into drama. I'm just sitting there talking about it. I'm trying to stay
Just neutral as
on
well.
the sidelines, you know.
So to be clear with what I'm saying here is that I think Queeman pivoted from the fairly neutral point that it seemed like Beckett was going to get into with this comparison by bringing up the interpersonal elements that might have clouded Beckett's judgment in that situation. And he could even be correct on that. So what I'm thinking is Queeman is sort of doing this when he sort of wants to present himself as neutral later down the line, like he clearly does. But maybe I'm giving Queeman too much credit here. Maybe it was just his attempt to keep the discussion on his compromise narrative that he's trying to build on here. There's always other options, but I think those are the two most likely.
I can understand it being interpersonally annoying when it's like,
Yeah, I took
but,
it as
but
a.
like
I
what
took
happened
it
when
as a
Tom
slight.
didn't. I can't imagine as a viewer being like, "Whoa, Tom's totally compromised because he didn't say he was dating this girl before he said Beckett was soy, or she said Beckett was soy, or whatever it was.
Yeah, okay, that's fine from an audience point of view.
There's also this whole focus on from the audience point of view, which I understand why they would bring those things up. Optics are sort of important, but it seems to be obfuscated from what is most likely true. Still, those are my standards. Commentary community tends to like to go with what they can prove to be true instead of likely to be true. For example, I think it's likely true that Beckett is likely compromised. Aside from his associates from the Twitch poll scene like Queeman and President Sunday, there's also his involvement with the ACC, but there's another element to make me think he's compromised even more than that, such as
we'll go very, very hard. And, with generally speaking, Cope and Seed's research is, a little arrogant, but very, very good. I mean, we do take commissions for this for a reason, because people will come to us for freelance work. The line is when you lose sight of your own principles of why you're doing something. So, like, the Soggy video might be a good example for this for me. I'll look at, like, harmful opinions and Tommy C's takes, and it took me a while to actually, like, kind of come around to the way they were seeing things, and I respect both of them. I like both of them. I've been a long-term fan of harmful opinions. So it's kind of a weird position, but I'm like, also, I've dealt with so much shit because of the dog pack stuff that even though I know that there are really elements where I completely agree with them, I'm like, yeah, but also I would burn quite a lot of people's bodies on the pyre of taking dog pack down because I hate the dude so much. And that's a bad place to be as a commentator.
Still, I'm not going to make the argument that Beckett is compromised here because it's just fucking stupid. I just sort of wanted to point out, I think I have better supporting evidence to make such an argument for this lame compromise status against Beckett than Queeman has with Willy Mack.
Do you think that, and even I want to be careful how I phrase this, I know that you've mentioned like this going back to Willy in like a Twitter space and things, and I don't want to get into the take, but do you think that that looks deflecty?
I joined the Twitter space, and I'm pretty sure people were talking about Willy. People were talking about Willy's tweets about it, so I was like, okay, I'll bounce off of this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sure, Beckett, just listen and believe what Queeman thought a Twitter space titled JSTLK Gets a July Surprise was just people talking about Willy Mack. It's funny that anyone would believe that, and I'm not saying Beckett does, but with this actual next bet, I have to wonder if anyone would buy this bullshit and believe it.
Well, the vindication is the fact that the claim against Willy was that he was compromised by the Destiny stuff, by his pre-existing relationship with Destiny, and I think also like that's to claim, I think that's somewhere on like a comment.
I don't know about other people. I don't just claim that, oh, because you've got a relationship, you are compromised. I'm very, very clear, okay? Willy Mack is compromised because his Hassan videos rely heavily on Destiny's community and Destiny's perspectives for research and backing. Willy Mack does zero ideological analysis or argumentation in any of those videos.
Since I like to humor absurd arguments myself, no matter how laughable I personally find them to be in some cases, and since Queeman DM'd me the laughable evidence about Doomer Media, that was actually credited as a writer, or was it researcher for Willy Mack's show at one particular time? And that is something provable. Unlike my theory that maybe President Sunday was trying to go after Doomer Media, not only because he had issues with Doomer's Vosh video, something I think, let's just say, annoyed President Sunday at the time, because it seemed like the video Doomer Media made on Vosh got praised, why his, well, let's just say, I don't remember many people talking about Prez Sunday's series on Vosh all that time ago. But maybe this was also a 4D chess move by the Prez to hurt Willy Mack's credibility by going after Doomer once again, like he tried to do when he critiqued Doomer Media's video by bringing up the character of the guy that Doomer paid to critique his script.
To abject slander, lies, and fraud. And as we will see over the course of this series, that is precisely what Doomer politics as well as graduate essay counterfeiter and professional streamer mom Booksmarts, who accepted pay to hide the former's true colors.
Because my job is to write graduate papers for people and to write essays for people. So what I have to do is I have to research that person's field, and I need to become an expert in this really, really small part of their field in order to write about it, in order to like push the envelope in terms of what we know.
Possibly as much as $1,000.
I paid people $1,000 to fucking critique it, to make sure that it was better than it would have been.
Again, not the only options. Maybe it was a weird attempt to get an in with Willy Max show. I mean, that one's a little bit far-fetched, so probably not. The only reason I can think it could have been a possibility for Perez Sunday to try to do this is because of the weird way that he got Beckett to set up a meeting between him and Nicholes DeOrio many months later. Yeah, I don't think that one fits. There could be other reasons for that.
But I want to be really clear. I reached out to Nick super early. In fact, I reached out to Nick earlier than this, because when I first heard about these leaks being wider spread than Nick believed, or I believed, I told Nick, and that was like the 6th of January. Listen, Nick's my friend. He is a really fucking solid guy, and I would die on a hill for him. So I don't like this narrative that I in some way was like, oh yeah, no, Nick needs to be in the video. He didn't. And I said it would cause issues if he was.
Besides the obvious one. In any case, I thought I would ask Queeman. In the DMs, you recently claimed that Willy Mac is compromised because his Hassan video relies heavily on Destiny's community. Okay. And Destiny's perspective for research and backing. What is the evidence you have to back up that claim of yours? Of course, Queeman didn't get back to me because this is pure fanfic material. I'm sure he would give plenty of other excuses, but at the end of the day, excuses are just that. He has nothing to back up this claim he made on Beckett's stream because it's a narrative that he just wants to push, but doesn't really have the backing to do so. Allegations don't equal evidence, neither does a poorly formed, out-of-pocket argument to back up your point and not having much to show for that. The funniest thing about this is Beckett treats this as if it's real.
As a result, a lot of his analysis and the things he puts in are filtered through people who were involved. And he spoke to Pixie, possibly to Lonerbox, but to Erudite significantly.
Sure, and I can see that criticism.
Or maybe Beckett's just humoring Queeman with this Willy Mac crap just to get Queeman's actual opinion on the JSTLK Cherry situation, since they're all just both drama streamers who come from the Twitch poll crowd. Keep that in mind.
I'm never gonna give a fuck about that. It's a total lie. It just comes through so obviously. Anyway, carry on.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Listen. It's fine. But that argument of compromise and seeing it through people's viewpoints, like the conversation we just had around JSTLK, is that not now something that essentially he can throw back and go, well, you're claiming that I'm compromised? Like, even like just removing some context for a second, just as a baseline argument, you're removing context saying that I'm taking this through the lens of people involved, but on like your side, JSTLK, you've ended up dating one of the quote-unquote victims. Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that because I do believe Cherry. I think the evidence is pretty strong.
This is easy for Willy Max to turn around and go, actually no, you're compromised to JSTLK. Then yes, I will agree with you. It's very easy to do that.
Okay, cool.
I think it's fair to characterize this interview as a mixture of real opinions blended with what some might call humor, but I will be calling that attempt at humor fiction, because when it comes down to it, that's what most of what Queeman is doing here. Which is similar to what some people in the commentary community criticize MamaMax for, at least in part. Sure, they aren't one-to-one comparisons, but close enough to at least segue into the standard that the commentary community does seem to hold around this particular issue. First, we have the fake video criticism.
Max claims to be a filmmaker who empowers children, but he's actually a con artist who fakes large portions of his predator hunting content.
I am presenting it as if it were to be real, but I didn't think people would take it as that.
But wait, you hunt files. You don't think that people are going to think your videos are real?
That's the thing. So I want everyone, when you watch my video, to assume everything is fake, except like when I show a face and what they're.
Yep, much of that seems obvious. You want to get people to believe lies, just spread them en masse, rumor any way you can. Why use one video when pressed? You fold like a paper crane like MamaMax did. So yeah, don't use fake information to make serious claims.
I'm still going to need to see more proof than my sister's friend told me this occurred. The reality is, Max's credibility alone carried this allegation.
Now, it turns out that the guy who orchestrated the video
might be a right?
Might be a who sent out.
Where does it end? Where does the cycle end?
Like and Max showed this, like, was this a White House interning with Obama or something? Like there was this whole weird arc in there.
Yeah, because me and my girlfriend were like, we know Max, so it's like we just want to know this whole thing. And you got to imagine, like, if you're the guy running these things and you have a possible history.
I mean, to be honest, looking at it from his perspective, Max is this guy who obviously has a chip on his shoulder and hates this dude, right? And he's making videos about catching. He's just scared that one of the videos will be about him. So he's trying to discredit Max first.
Imagine that. Yeah. The projection. Oh my god, that's so fun.
At best, it made people like myself second guess looking into these allegations those 5 girls made and Anthony published. At worst, people like Mudahar and his co-host took Max's words, insinuated they could be valid off of no substantial evidence, and echoed them, effectively shutting down the story and further harming Anthony's reputation. I would like to personally apologize to Anthony for not looking further into Max back then. Maybe we could have salvaged this situation, and maybe we could have saved the current 8 girls a lot of trouble.
Sort of highlights how little testimonials can sometimes work within the commentary community, or how little value the old commentary community will have with testimonials if there's no physical data or evidence to back it up with. Which is why I found it so odd that Beckett used so many of them, sometimes from people completely unrelated to the matter.
By the way, just before you think I'm some sort of conspiracy theorist, I'm not the only one who's noticed this.
Jar to me has always kind of been like a snake in the grass. I think that's the best way to describe him.
Really? Maybe I just haven't been paying attention as much. I always just saw him as like kind of a spurg. A snake in the grass.
And sure, he usually has some sort of evidence to back up that sort of testimonial, but that comes off as weak as I'm Alex continuously flashing that DM up, acting like that's something new that the audience didn't know about before.
This is Alex's video. He ignores the context and receipts that Alice brings to the table and crafts a story with the fewest DMs possible.
And I could be misjudging it, but it almost seems like Beckett has embraced the art commentary community's standards for how things should operate. He's given a shiny new bow and some general guidelines to work on. But again, I could just be completely misreading that, because Beckett does seem to have a talent for crafting such a video where he can just basically call Jar a low-key racist and sexual predators, and it has the Turkey Tom seal of approval on it.
Finally, I'd just like to thank everyone who's involved in helping with...
Good video overall. I enjoyed it. You guys can subscribe to Cope and Seethe if you want. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
But who cares? Just Jar. Just try to groom a groomer or defend a predator. At least according to the comments section of his latest video. So that's almost really tempted to make an abortion joke here, but I won't. So use your imagination. But it's been almost 9 months since his cancellation. That's with a small c, like cunt. And probably even is in some of the commentary of the many videos on him for a video that poorly tried to justify someone who seems like a rather bad groomer intentional or not, that is what seems to be going on in all these fucking communities. Where it's worse, I don't know. Still, this whole jar sort of incident situation sort of parallels some of the elements highlighted by Technicals in his coverage of Skullgirls.
And I don't know how to get him to not do that. Thus the conundrum. Is the problem that he doesn't try? No. But the problem is what he is trying is not preventing him from getting to a separate issue that is along the same vein. Another coworker, Robert, said that he believes that Mike feels really bad about how he is, but he seems to be very fatalistic about ever changing. My question is, how do we get from my fear is what the public will latch onto and ruin his life over, and telling Mike in private, I think we should always strive to resolve things privately, I hate this internet call-out shit, to a Twitter post saying, Mike has a pattern of hostility, insults, threats, lying, and harassment 2 months later. He's known Mariel since 2010.
And that definitely doesn't fit perfectly with this scenario, but at least it comes closer to that being the truth than Jar trying to compare the Sydney grooming allegations to the Pyro grooming allegations. They just don't match up really well, which it seems like Just a Robot realized in his response video.
I truly believed that I was onto something comparing this to the Pyro drama, because Pyro did learn of Ivory's age when they turned 16, not when they were 15, and he said, and I quote here, shouldn't have continued the furry stuff with him, along with the fact that Pyro got a 15-year-old who he knew was 15 to draw a thicker, lewder, sexier version of his avatar. I thought to myself, well, if people are okay with Pyro doing this, then why aren't they okay with Cinny's actions? I think we all know that if the Pyro drama started with Pyro immediately uploading a video saying, guys, I admit to it, I groomed a minor, and I knew what I was doing was wrong, that drama would have gone completely differently.
Turkey Tom did go over on his Tom Dark live channel that I wish I could recommend you guys watch if it wasn't for the fact that it's clear Turkey Tom's coverage is biased by Beckett's video on Jar, given what he says to Brandon Buckingham.
What is this Just a Robot crap, though?
It's like the worst thing ever. It's like, it's. Do you really want to know?
Yeah, break it down real quick before I have to go change diapers and shit.
Okay, so there's this like weird girl named Cinny Bear who was like on Discord sending art of her like original characters like or something, or like having gay sex, I don't even know, to like a bunch of people on Discord, and some of them were like 15 and 14, and then Just a Robot were like, well, she's not, it was like, well, not technically a pedophile, they're like, you know, weird and inappropriate, but they're not like a pedophile.
I love when they get technical about it, don't you?
Yeah, but then it turned out that Just a Robot was like romantically involved with this girl, and was like late at night was like messaging on Discord like, want to call? Yeah, and then there, dude, serious goon hour. And then after that, there were these people who came out with DMs of Just a Robot at VidCon, where he was like saying the funniest shit of all time. It was like, hey, maybe we can hang out, maybe we can get a drink, and then we can like go back to my hotel room and hang out. JK, just kidding, haha. Like that kind of shit. Like
want to hang out? Just kidding.
Yeah.
For real, though.
It was like, want to hang out in my bedroom? Just kidding. Unless.
But that's for a separate video I'm working on that I hope to have done in a few days after the release of this video, followed by a live stream for those who can't seem to pick up on what I'm laying down here. So I've learned live streams will help cut through the noise. Until then, I'm done.